Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Megumi. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you're not going to believe this. I went through and did the video the first time. I did about a 25-minute video, and for some crazy reason, it didn't record. So I'm doing it again right now. Okay, so let's take a look. This is your independent writing practice test number 2. And I'm going to take a look at your essay. I'm going to make some editing and some writing suggestions. I'll also give you a score and even suggest some lessons that you can focus on to get better. Okay, let's take a look at your introduction. So part of a little bit of difficulty with this is you're repeating ideas. You said wars, work, religion, wars, work, religion. I don't think you need to be that repetitive in this first paragraph, but what a lot of writers will do, and what I recommend, is you can start off with something general. You can make a general statement about the topic, right? So let's go back to the topic. It says, dancing plays an important role in the culture. Use specific reasons and examples to support your answer. So you might start off saying like this. I'm going to start off with general statements before I get to dance. So in most cultures, things such as the economy, the language, educational system, and even entertainment are important to its members. So then I'm going to say something like this. Similar to these areas, dance is also how about this? You might say dance plays an important role in a culture. Okay, so then it says, similar to these areas, dance plays an important role in the culture, especially for wars, work, and religion. Then you might use a comma here, including. How about commentary of cultural events? Something like that. But still, this is kind of a short paragraph. You're aiming for maybe 50 to 100 words. You could say something like this. You might say most are concerned about their salaries. How about concerned about preserving their national language, making sure each child has a high quality education. You might say, here, something like that. Now your paragraph is getting fatter, which is good because you're trying to get closer to 350 words, right? So what I did is I added a few things in there as general ideas to precede your actual thesis. Of course, I can't just say those things. Now I have to have a transition. Similar to these areas, dance plays an important role in the culture, especially for wars, work, and religion, including commentary of cultural events. Okay, now we have, I think, a pretty good paragraph. Now let me check my grammar one more time. In most cultures, things such as the economy, the language, the educational system, even entertainment are important to its members. For example, most are concerned about their salaries. Notice how salaries connects to economy. They're concerned about preserving their national language, which connects to language, making sure each child has a high quality education, which goes back to education, and taking time to relax from the stresses of life by enjoying various forms of entertainment. Then similar to these areas, dance plays an important role in the culture, especially for wars, work, and religion, including commentary of cultural events. You see what I'm doing now? So what I did is I used these general statements here to precede what's called dance. Notice how I didn't say much about dance until I got to your thesis, but I did talk about other areas which are important, or other things which are important in a culture. Your next paragraph, dance has played a significant role to prepare for wars in many cultures. Actually, in my town, in the fall, sounds like you're talking about something more as a habit. We hold a festival to commemorate a war. I'd say here, by dancing a war dance. In Africa, we can see many war dances to prepare for wars. It is important to prepare for war to have a you might say in order for the tribe to survive. So I think you're going to run into trouble here. Now, I know somebody already scored this. They gave you 350. I'm probably going to score it a little bit lower. We're still, one of my workers, we agreed that it's not going to get 24 out of 30, right? But the problem here is you bring up this idea about your town. What town? Name the town. So if you said, actually, in my town of Sendai, Japan, in the fall, we hold a festival to commemorate maybe World War II by dancing a war dance, or to commemorate, some other war. And then you go in Africa, by moving to this hurts your development because you need to spend more time developing the first war dance that's in your town. You should give a description of the dance. You should also explain how it helps you to commemorate a war and which war it helps you to commemorate. So I think these ideas here don't really help you develop, I think, the argument that you're trying to make here. And maybe here, instead of saying many cultures, which makes your paragraph too unfocused, say in a culture. Then say something like, for example, in my town, and only in this paragraph talk about your town, your war dance, and describe the dance and show how it helped you commemorate a particular war. So I think this paragraph here, it needs to have more development. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go over to the next idea. Okay, so let's go to your next paragraph. You have second, dance. Role means function, so I'm going to say this. Dance has an important function to prepare to prepare many for work. In some agricultural cultures, there are dances to imitate you might say something like this. You might say this. In some cultures, there are dances to imitate the movements required for the work, for example, gathering grapes. This is going to hurt your score here. Is at this point, you have my curiosity. You're talking about dancing and helping prepare people for work. You bring up gathering grapes. Now, I expect you at this point to describe exactly what the dance is, where it's used, who does it, and how it helps the workers perform the work. I would be looking for those details right there where you see my cursor. I would expect to have that information there, so your paragraph doesn't it doesn't really support that idea. Okay, let's go to your next idea. Say in some cultures, you might say this. You might say in some cultures with a lot of fishermen, I can see fishing dances. You might say it is, no. I would say, how about which are important to you might say which are important to help the anglers You might say something like that. Say in some cultures with a lot of fishermen, you might say, I can see fishing dances which are important to help anglers catch more fish and ultimately bring or raise, how about raise more revenue for their economies? Now, the only problem here is you didn't really give this example. So you're talking about things in a very general sense, not getting too specific. Now, if you bring up cultures and fishermen and you talk about dancing, which helps fishermen, again, I expect you to give a description of what the dance is and how it helps these workers get more fish. So I think that this idea, you have really two choices. Probably, you should probably omit one of these points and talk about one specific culture. You might talk about France or Italy, for example, and talk about a dance that they perform which helps them gather more grapes. And just focus the whole paragraph just on that one idea, and that'll give your paragraph a lot more depth. Okay, let's take a look at the last one. Third, dance has been essential for many religions in the world. You might say the sun dance or some African dances are famous to experience. I think you want to say here, express. You might want to say express religious views. In some cultures, dancing the religion dance means to meet their ancestors to convince the root is an important experience for the people in each culture. Again, you bring up an idea, but you're not really giving enough details to support that idea, so you need to limit. You want to limit how much you try to say in a particular paragraph. So I think that the purpose of this paragraph, I would focus it more around religious views. Now, do you want to say religious views about ancestors? Do you want to make that together? Maybe. You might change it to something like this. You might say something like that, then you have to say, are famous to express religious views in a way to show respect toward ancestors. How about this? And then you might say, to tie it together here, in this respect, you might say these religious dances here you're having some word choice problems. I'm not quite getting exactly your meaning here. I'm going to just kind of guess here. Prepares the living or helps the living gain more respect to their ancestors, such as, you might say, deceased parents or grandparents. Maybe something like that. So in this respect, these religious dances help the living gain more respect to their ancestors, such as deceased parents or grandparents. These religious dances help the living gain more respect to their ancestors, such as deceased parents or grandparents. Thus, maybe something like that, thus helping them to develop stronger family ties. So that would be, again, still you probably, this is good though, you brought up the idea, this is probably one of your best paragraphs. You mentioned the sun dance, and then you talked about some African dances, but again, you probably would have to give a little bit more explanation of what the dance is. What do they do? Do they dance in a circle? Do they dance around a fire? Something along those lines. So I think you probably have to develop that idea a little bit more. Then you have, in short, war, work, and religion, including significant events, are an essential part of each culture. This is pretty good. Instead of has been, instead of using present perfect there, I would probably just use are, and are conveyed through dance and are conveyed through dance. How about this? Which is why, you could probably say, I agree. I wouldn't say with, use a connector, like a noun clause connector to introduce that, which is why I agree that dance, I would say, played an important role to perform these cultural activities. You want to say here, collectively in their respective cultures. Okay, so that's kind of some of the changes I would make on this. Now, based on that, if we take a look at the rubrics, I'm going to put you closer to, I'm going to say probably, I don't think you'll be 3.5. I disagree with my worker who scored this, probably a little lower than that. I'm going to say maybe 2.75 out of 5, 18 points out of 30. I think you have limited development of ideas as they relate to the topic. You actually have a pretty good organization, but you have inappropriate or lack of details, examples, and explanations to support your generalizations in response to the writing task. You also have numerous errors with inappropriate word choice or word forms. That's probably what I would score your essay right now based on what I just read due to those reasons. So I think this describes yours better than in the 3 range. All right, one other thing I want to take a look at really fast. Okay, the next question is, what lessons do you focus on to get better? I would like to see you take a look at maybe Lesson 5, writing effective body paragraphs. Lesson 5.1, writing effective topic sentences. 5.2, using transition words to connect ideas. And lesson 5.3 is writing details to support generalizations. So that's going to be important for you. Now, one other thing is part of your problem, I think, is vocabulary. You definitely need to work on that a little bit more, which brings me to the vocabulary part of my course. I'd like to see you take a look at vocabulary lesson number 3, the ebook. Make sure you learn those 200 words and then keep working on lesson 4, lesson 5, and lesson 6. And remember, as you go through those lessons and study those words, Megumi, you can complete these practice tests. Each practice test, it includes a test bank of about 150 questions, and each test is only 25 questions. So you can take the test several times before you'll see the same questions again. So I think that would be very important for you to help you improve. I think a combination right now of improving your vocabulary and then working more on developing and organizing your ideas will make a big difference with your writing. But I think the biggest thing here is vocabulary, probably. All righty. Anyway, so you got a score. You know why. I gave you some suggestions. I even edited the paper for you to give you some ideas. And take what you see, think about it, and then try your 3rd writing practice test.